Good morning, Year 5s, and welcome to your maths lesson. I just want to say well done to all those children who submitted their maths yesterday. I was really impressed with the level of understanding, and you all did really well. So well done for following those instructions and watching the video carefully and then applying your understanding to the quiz. Today's learning objective is going to be to multiply a fraction by a whole number. And before we get going with that, we're going to be doing our starter. So can you pause your video now and can you please complete those 5 questions for me on your piece of paper? Right, let us mark. 5 times 6 is 30. Okay, just knowing our multiplication times tables. Number 2, I have 6 sevenths plus 3 14ths. So I'm going to write that out. 6 sevenths plus 3 14ths. Now, the big problem is that my bottom numbers are not the same. So I have to make my bottom numbers the same. So I first look at the bigger number, which is 14. I say, can 7 go into 14? Yes, it can. So I'm going to make my denominators 14. Right, now I have to make an equivalent fraction. So what did I do to 14 to get 14? I didn't do anything. So I'm going to leave the 3 the same. Multiply it by 1. And 7 times 2 is going to be 14. So I'm going to say 6 times 2 is going to be 12. Now that my bottom numbers are the same, I can simply add my top numbers, my numerators, which is going to be 15. And I leave the bottom number the same, and I do not convert it into a mixed number, and I do not simplify it. You can't actually simplify that one, but there you go. So hopefully you got that one correct. The next one, 20 times 400, a nice mental calculation here. I'm first going to say 2 times 4 is 8, and then I simply add the zeros. There are 3 zeros in total, so I just add the 3 zeros. Right, this is one we did yesterday where we have fraction multiplied by a fraction. So I simply times the top numbers. So 3 times 5 is 15 and 8 times 4 is 32. So 15 32s. And the last one is I am going to put my whole number down. Ooh, that looks terrible. So let me try that again. Right, 9. That looks a bit better. Right, a whole number, the decimal goes afterwards, and I put in my placeholders, and I'm subtracting 6.43. Okay, and now I can subtract. So 0 minus 3 I can't do, so I'm going to go borrow. I have to go all the way over to the ones. Right, then I cannot just jump all the way, so I need to then regroup and borrow. Now I have 10 minus 7 is 3, 9 minus 4 is 5, bring down that decimal, and 8 minus 6 is 2. And that is my answer. Hopefully you did really well with your starter and you're ready to learn the next section. So we are looking at fraction multiplied by a whole number. So my big question to you today is I have 3 children and they all brought a fifth of their sweets from Halloween into school. What fraction of all the sweets have been brought into school? So have a think about that and how do you think you'd be working that out? And maybe even have a go on your piece of paper, okay? Right, so we're going to draw a picture to describe it as well. So see if you can even draw a picture to show how you would work that out. You have 3 children, they each bring in a fifth of their sweets. See if you can show me how you would work that out. Right, let's have a look together. So here are my 3 children and each of them brought a fifth, okay? So how many pieces do I have in total now? I've got 3 fifths. There it is, the 1, 2, 3. Not very good pictures, but hopefully you can understand that I've taken those 3 and I've divided into fifths because that's what I'm going to be looking at. And if I add up all of those pieces, I'm going to have 3. And my bottom number is going to stay in fifths because that's what I'm working in. Okay, 3 fifths. Now we're going to look quickly about how we can explain this using pictures. All right, so when we're looking at a fraction multiplied by a whole number, we say, here is my whole number, here is my fraction. And when we're talking about multiplication, we just simply mean it means lots of. Right, so I have 4 times 2/3, which just means 4 lots of 2/3. So here, if I show you in my pictures, I've divided my pizzas into thirds, and I've got two groups of them, okay? And I've got 4 of them in total. So there are my 4 parts, okay? And in each pizza, I have got 2/3. Right. So when we are looking at fractions multiplied by whole numbers, it says how many thirds are there now in total? So if you had to count all these thirds, how many would you have in total? Have a quick go at counting all these pieces here that you have. Right, if you need a bit more time, you can pause the video. Otherwise, let's have a look. So a nice way of saying is I've got 4 groups and there's 2 in each. So you could just say 4 times 2, right, which is 8. So I have 8 groups of thirds, which means I have 8 thirds, okay? And we can write that as a mixed number if we want, all right? If I had to put them all back together, and but we are not going to be writing it as a mixed number, but could you work out what this mixed number would be? How many whole pizzas do I have? How many holes do I have there? Good, I have 2 holes. How many fractions do I have left here? How many parts of the pizza do I have left? I have 2/3. Okay, so there's my mixed number. Now remember, we do not need to change it into the mixed number, but there you can see where the answer is for a mixed number. But an easier way of working this out is simply by showing that I have 4 times 2, and I leave the bottom number the same, which is 3, and I get 8/3. If I go back to this picture here, I can count how many thirds I have, which is 8, okay? And how did I work out 8? I could have done a really quick way of showing I've got 4 groups here, and if there are 2 pieces in each group, and if I say 2 times 4 is 8, and that's where the timesing by the top number goes. Okay, so there's how I get the 4 times the 2, which is 8. Leave the bottom number the same, okay? And just a reminder of how do we write a whole number as a fraction? So if I had the whole number 4 times 2/3, how would I write that 4 as a fraction? Who can remind me? You can remember, what would I put here at the bottom? So this number would go into 4 equal times. And hopefully you have reminded yourself and you said the number 1. The 1 goes into 4 equal times. And then you've got a fraction times a fraction. And you remember from yesterday, 4 times 2 is 8 and 1 times 3 is 3. Okay? But you simply have to times the whole number by the top number and leave the bottom number the same. So times the numerator by the whole number, leave the denominator the same. And that is your easy method for today. So let us have a quick go at having a look at this bar model. All right, here I've got fifths times 4, all right? So if I have my bar model, I would take my bar, I've divided it into 5 parts, and I've got 4 of them I would count out, and therefore a fifth times 4 is 4/5. Can you have a go now at using this method? So you're going to take this fraction here. Let me do this one with you, and then we'll do this one together, and then you're going to have a go at doing this one on your own. So I have a 1/4 times a 1/3. So first of all, I'm going to take my shape. I'm going to draw out a rectangle. Not very good at doing this today, but hopefully you can understand. All right, and I'm going to divide it into quarters. 1, 2, 3, 4. Now remember, quarters, they always would be equal. Now because I'm trying to do this with my hand, it's not coming out as equal, but hopefully you understand what I'm trying to do. Right, and I have 3 groups. So I'm going to count 1, 2, and 3. So now how many do I have in total here? I have 3 out of how many is the whole block? 4, which is my quarters. Okay, so first draw the fraction out. Then the whole number tells me how many I am going to then color in or shade or select. And then I would say that number would be my numerator, the numbers that I've shaded, the blocks that I've shaded, out of the total number. So let's try an 8 times 6. So who can remind me, what do I need to do first? I need to look at this fraction, and it's going to tell me how many equal parts I'm going to divide my shape into. So can you tell me how many equal parts do I need to shade this shape into? Good, it's going to be 8. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. I just need to add one more. 8. 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Just checking. Right, so that bottom number there, that denominator, tells me how many times I'm going to divide my shape into equally. Now, this whole number tells me how many I'm going to shade or select. So I've got to count to 6. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So how many do I have now in total? I've got 6. And how many is in total out of the whole shape? 8. Okay, and a simpler way of even doing that in your head is going 6 times 1 is 6. Leave the bottom number the same, the denominator the same. See if you can have a go at doing now a 1/10 times 8. So first draw out the shape, shade in the numbers that you need to select, and then see if you can work out the fraction for me. So pause the video and have a go. Super. So first of all, we're going to look at this fraction here. I'm going to say, right, I need to divide my shape into 10 equal parts. Okay. Now yours is probably going to look like mine, probably very similar, not quite equal. But in real life, we would need to make sure that we're doing it in equally. 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, and I need to add one more, 10. And then I am going to shade 8 parts. So 8 blocks. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Right, so how many now do I have that I've shaded? How many have I shaded in total? I've shaded 8. And how many blocks are in total out of the whole shape? 10. So 8/10. And a simpler way of saying that is 1 times 8 is 8. And I leave the bottom number the same, which is 10ths. Hopefully that makes some sense. This picture is just to really visualize it, to really help you understand this concept. And hopefully by drawing it out, you can see what we are doing. Right. So if we have a look at our steps to success now, we're going to, first of all, multiply the numerator by the whole number. So if I just circle that, hopefully you can see that, I'm going to say it's going to be 15. All right, so nice and easy. Leave the bottom number the same. The denominator is going to stay the same, which is quarters. And that is my 2 simple steps. And remember not to simplify or convert it into a mixed number, okay? You just leave it as it is because we want you to get the marks. We don't want you to make any silly mistakes. So that there is the method. So simple, so easy. I simply say top number, my numerator, times my whole number. So 3 times 5 is 15. Leave the bottom number the same, which is 4. And that is the method. If you want, you could also put the 5 over 1, because remember, every whole number has the bottom number, the denominator, as 1. And then you've got a fraction times a fraction. So you could say 3 times 5 is 15 and 4 times 1 is 4. Okay, so that is your steps to success today. So hopefully you can remember those 2 very easy steps. And we are going to now look at some practice sums together. So I'm going to do this one with you, and then you're going to do some on your own. Right, so we're going to times the top. So I'm going to say 2 times 4. Ooh, that doesn't look very neat. 2 times 4 is 8. Leave the bottom number the same, 8/3. You could have also put 4 over 1, because remember 4 ones make 4. And then 2 times 4 is 8. 3 times 1 is 3. So let's do this one together now. On your piece of paper, can you please write 3/4 times 5 with me? So please, can you write that sum down? All right, if you need some more time, you're welcome to pause the video. Otherwise, let's have a go. So we're going to say 3 times 5 is 15. And can you now tell me what the bottom number is going to be? Great job. Quarters. Leave the bottom number the same. Leave the denominator the same. Okay. Right. Can you now do these three questions on your own, and then there's a word sum, which is also going to be multiplying the whole number by the fraction. So pause the video now and see if you can do those three as some good practice before you start your activity. Okay, if you need some more time, you're welcome to carry on pausing the video. Otherwise, we're going to mark. So 6 times 5 is 30. Leave the denominator the same, 7. 5 times 5 is 25. Leave the bottom number the same, which is 6. And 4 times 7 is 28. Leave the bottom number the same. Hopefully you got 3 out of 3 for that. It is so easy, and hopefully you smashed that. Right. Our word sum reads, Sammy had 3 pies. He ate 2/3 of each pie. How much pie did he eat in all? Okay, so he ate, so you've got to imagine the 3 pies. Okay, so 1, 2, 3, and they've been divided up into thirds. Not very neat today, unfortunately, but hopefully you can see what I'm trying to do. And he's eaten 2/3 of each pie. So there's 2/3, there is 2/3, and there is 2/3. Right, so now we're going to say 2/3 times 3, or 3 times 2/3. Same thing. Right, so hopefully you went 2 times 3 is 6. Leave the bottom number the same, which is thirds. If you did simplify it, you could have said 2. You would have eaten 2 whole, okay, pies. All right, but you could also leave it as 6/3. All right, you will still get the answer. So you're going to log on to Teams now, and you're going to complete the 10 activities based on today's lesson. I will put the steps of success in your file. So if you do need to access that, just to remind you that you just times the whole number by the top number, the whole number times the numerator, leave the bottom number the same. And that's as simple as it is today. So hopefully you really love that, and you're really going to now challenge yourself to get full marks for your maths today. Enjoy it, and I will see you back here later.